And we're back. We're back. So, good morning. I'm your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. We are here with another episode of One Inspiration with Friends. And my birthday's next week. Just put it out there. Just want to keep reminding you, my birthday's next week. This is actually why I'm having these conversations. It's a part of my self-reflection of my year 40. I'll be 41 next week. Can't believe I'll be 41. I feel like I just turned 16 yesterday. But yesterday we did have a conversation that was really good, and I'm happy that we did. So shout outs to you if you were there. And if you have not gone, go back. Go watch. We got a whole playlist. So look, you should see probably like somewhere on the right hand side of your screen, you should see the playlist. So I want that to be something that you and I, get into a habit of doing. So today, because it came up in yesterday's conversation, we started talking about healing, right? And how so many people don't discuss the becoming, right? Going into the new you, your next best self. Everyone is just always focusing on the healing, the healing. And I feel like it's very similar to healthy living, right? So I realized one of the issues that I now have is hypothyroidism. And that happened because when I was obese the first time, and I gotta be honest, like when I was obese the first time, they would tell us like, cut out salt, don't cook with salt, right? That's what doctors would tell us, and I think they knew like people were not gonna really do that. Like no one's gonna do that. And then they met Tanisha, and then Tanisha did that. So from 2012, when I started this journey, October 2012, I literally had cut out salt. And so fast forward 2023, I'm gaining the weight back. I can't get it off. And I finally have them run all the blood tests. And that's when we found out we have hypothyroidism. And so I remember having a conversation with the doctor here in Tulsa. And she was like, we tell patients, cut out salt, don't cook with salt, especially if they're like struggling with high blood pressure. She said, but we never think that they're going to actually do it. She said, and so they're finding that there are people, because I was not the only person. I actually came across a young lady on TikTok like 4 months ago, and she also did the same thing, lost 100 and something pounds naturally, cut out salt, like all of that. And she became iodine deficient like myself, and now has hypothyroidism. And it's just like, dag. So they tell us these things, but they don't really believe that anyone is going to actually do it and do it to that level of extreme. And I think the same thing is going on with healing. People know that people are out here healing, but they don't really believe like they're going to really put forth the true effort. They're really trying to ignite change. Like a lot of people just have like these misconceptions or these assumptions like, oh yeah, no one is really trying to change. No one's really trying to heal. But there are some people who are extremely serious about this. They're like, no, I want to heal. I want to get better. I don't want to continue living in the old. I want to continue to live and move forward. So I want to talk about that because as I started to heal, and I mean, 2012 was when it started, and it started with the body. But then I started to identify areas and what I like to call when I got tired of myself. And one of the things I got tired of myself about was that I was always angry, like angry about everything. Zero to 100, 2.2 seconds. It took nothing for me to get mad and for me to spaz out, right? And I got tired of that back in 2012. And I started to do that work of realizing like, okay, why are you responding this way? Do you have to respond this way? You can feel what you're feeling. You can be annoyed. You can be frustrated. But do you have to respond this way? So I had to go through some motions and I had to go through some self-reflecting. And I had to figure out how do I do this in the new, all right? Because healing and figuring out, come on, Paula, happy Tuesday, healing and figuring out, like, okay, this is a problem. I'm ready to face this problem. But now, how do I move forward in this life? And, just last week when I was in Punta Cana, when I was leaving, they gave me a hard time. I mean, from they were not allowing my driver to come into the gates at the resort. My driver's telling me you're about to be a no call, no show, and we're about to leave. And it was just a big mess. And I thought about it when I got to the airport after I was able to like sit down and get something to eat. And I reflected, like, girl, you did good. Like, you did real good. Like, you was annoyed. And I did let them know, like, look, this is unacceptable. Like, I'm still going to speak my mind, but I'm not going to be disrespectful. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not cursing you out. I'm not doing all of that because now you're going to get my pressure up unnecessarily. But I still let them know, right? Like, this is very, like, look, if I miss my car service because of whatever you're doing here, you're gonna have to pay for me to get to the airport, and I'm not paying because I already paid. And then when I got into the car, I need these drivers wherever they are located. Whenever you are driving a customer, do not go in the car and start spraying in cologne or perfume. We don't do that. That is very disrespectful, and it bothered me because I actually have asthma, and strong scents like colognes and perfumes, depending on how strong they are, could trigger my asthma. Sir, but again, I didn't spaz out. I didn't flip out, right? So it's like you have to figure out, how do I now process this moving forward? Because it's going to continue to happen. People are going to continue to be people, right? And so before we jump into like all of the different things, this is actually a good moment. So when I was in um in Punta Cana, I came across this young lady at the pool, and she told me about this book because we were really having a good conversation, and I reminded her of her old self, right? So she's now married, she was a single mother, and she was believing the narratives that society was telling her, saying like, oh, no man's gonna want you because you already have kids. They're not gonna marry you. They're not gonna take you serious. So she was believing that. So she became like hyper independent, she said, and she was just like, I don't need a man. And then she met this man, and then this man came and then like flicked something in her, and like literally she started to realize, like, I gotta just let this man be a man because he is a man. And so she said there was a book that was recommended to her called The Let Them Theory by Mel Robinson. So I am going to drop that in the chat. I'm going to actually put the link to the Amazon so you can just, if you are interested, you can order it. But I started to read that on Sunday when I came back from Dominican Republic. And as I'm reading this, it was confirming a lot, right? It was confirming a lot. It was confirming, the things that, as far as like allowing someone to come into your life and doing things for you. It also confirmed I have only control of Tanisha. I can't control anyone else. Oh, Paula said, that book is one of my sister friend's favorite book. So, sister friend, thank you. And I am so happy that I was recommended this book, and I'm enjoying it thus far. So yeah, I'm definitely like excited because it's just a lot of confirmation. Like, you don't have control over people. Everything is not what you think it is, right? And so one of the things that I have learned in this healing process, as far as like relationships, the old Tanisha, and many of us, we probably have experienced this at some point of our lives where we would be with someone and they'll get quiet, right? Ever dated someone and they just get quiet? And so when they get quiet, we tend to start doing what? We start thinking we did something. There's something wrong between us, right? There's a problem between us. So we make this about us. And the reality is, it might not even be anything about you at all. Like, we have to look at the situation and then start thinking, like, could it be? Could it be? Could it be? Or could it be he's just mad at me, right? And so when I think about my situation, um, I had to understand, I had to remember, I have to constantly remember, not that I don't remember, but this person is in a healing, physically healing space. He's healing his body from after breaking his leg. And sometimes, between taking medications, going to physical therapy, and when physical therapy is like kicking his butt, what he wants afterwards, all he wants to do is go to sleep because his body is tired and his body hurts. And so I remember there was a day, like, I don't think we probably just spoke like in the morning, and I don't think I heard from him until like late at night. And initially I was about to get bothered, and then I remember, Tanisha, this is not them in the past, right? The guys from the past. You know the situation, right? And the situation is this, right? It's not going to always be that this person's going to always be available, right? And I now start to understand because the last year or so, I've been seeing a lot of conversations where people are very disappointed, especially in the dating space, in a relationship space. Well, they don't speak to me all day. They don't text me all day. No one is that busy. Yeah, some people are, right? Every career is not the same. Every job is not the same, right? I actually dated someone who worked in the correction system at one time. They can't have their phone at all. So if he's doing a double, that was 16 hours. I did not ever hear from him. And it wasn't because he didn't like me. It wasn't because, he was mad at me. It was because where he worked. Yeah, that made sense because they cannot. It's not like they're just and it's so it contradicts how like the whole law enforcement. And I'm just going on topic real quick, but like the cops can have their phones all day, right? You see cops, they be on their phone, they be on their cell phones, but then you go to the jails. The correction officers have to put their phones into the lockers, and they can't have it. They like the children. That's like the new thing was going on in schools. And so I just, I give those kind of examples because I often tell people when they start having those conversations, you have to remember your job is yours, right? And your job is going to allow you to do what you're able to do. But that doesn't mean that everyone's job is the same. We have to look at situations case by case and not lump them all together, right? That's actually a part of healing because when you continue to generalize, that means that everyone. So you're still speaking all men are dogs, all women are gold diggers, right? You're still speaking general instead of looking at the situation. Stop doing that, okay? Because if we really want to continue to heal, we cannot continue to process the past. Right? We cannot continue to carry that with you. I think I told you yesterday the cards. I meant to give y'all them cards. The cards that we were doing the other day. One of the questions was about the baggage. How much baggage are you carrying into the relationship? And some people they're carrying everything. They're still carrying everything. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to, experience the same situations, right? But it's how we handle it, right? Sometimes we have to be very quick. So I know I have to catch myself. Sometimes I can start thinking, start going all the way over here, and I end up in a whole nother county because I'm over. And it's like, Tanisha, come back over here, right? So I just dropped the link. I'm sorry, it's not coming up for some reason on my Facebook page. So I will drop it in the down below afterwards. But I did drop the link for the cards that I was talking about yesterday, the couple conversations, games, and activities. And then the first link that I put was Mel Robinson's book that you can, if you want to check it out, from Amazon. We spoke about that earlier, the let them theory, right? So, I just want us to get into a space that we cannot just keep carrying. Paula said, I learned a long time ago to stop owning other people's outcomes. It would stress me out too much, and I'm an overthinker. But to live, excuse me, but to live a light life is my goal. That's true. Like I like the space that I'm in because I'm more in a space of I'm okay with silence, right? Quiet doesn't bother me because we find our own unique ways. So we play a game together on our phones, like a pool game, and that so we won't even speak for like 2 hours, but we would be on that app playing this game together for 2 hours. I appreciate that more than a text conversation, right? Because we're sitting here because we can't like you can't type anything. You can do like emoji reactions, as you're playing the game. So we're still having conversation, but we're not having conversation, and it's just such a peaceful space. I think if this was 10 years ago, that idea would have pissed me off. I'd been like, no, but you can't talk to me. Like, and it's just now, it's just like, girl, everything is not always, doesn't have to be a conversation. You don't always have to just like be in constant talking. Like, sometimes I can just sit in a nice, quiet space and just have peace between you. That's what healing looks like. Because I had to unlearn everything that I thought a relationship needed to be. It has to be this. We have to be in constant communication every single day. He has to text me by this time. If he doesn't do this, if he doesn't do that, and I start naming all of these different things, and then I start telling myself, then you know what? If it's none of these things, then he doesn't like me. Wow, just reflecting on that. That's exhausting. But that was my reality, and I'm honest about my reality. Right? So this is when I had to realize. This is why I said, if I write another book, it's gonna end up, and it'll probably be about the healing journey of everything that I've gone through and the things that I had to heal from. But when I got tired of myself, because I got tired of just playing that narrative in my mind, I can't do that. And like I said, and now reading the let them theory, it's even more like, man, because you know what? I can't control it. Like Paula said, we can't control those people's outcomes. I can't. I can sit here and be annoyed. Absolutely. Yep. You can definitely annoy me. But guess what? I can't stop you from being annoying. I could pray. That's the only thing I can do. I have that control. And that means sometimes that works. Sometimes, you gotta go to God and be like, Lord, right? Because he's the manufacturer of all of us. Lord, get your child. That's always my prayer. Get your child, Lord. Get your kid. Because they about to piss me off. You know what I'm saying? And then next thing you know, you might start seeing things adjust and people start to relax. Right? The Holy Spirit comes into them and then things start to become controlled. Right? So what does the new look like? You have to start figuring out whatever that is for you. What does that new look like? Right? You know what the old looks like. You know how you responded. You know how you felt. So now this is where we have the control of saying, if this happens again, or forget if, when it happens again, because it's going to happen. And that's the other thing. And I was reading something and someone was like, yeah, when you're healed, you're never going to deal with that again. I don't know where we got that notion from, but that's not true. You're still going to be triggered. Still going to be moments of triggering, but it's not going to ever be that you're never going to deal with this again. So when this happens to you, what does that new habit look like? What does that new action look like? Right? I get to the point now when I used to get very frustrated before I was tapping into my gifts. This is why I say, when we start tapping into our purpose, that helps you with your healing, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. Again, I get frustrated, in 2014 when I wrote my first book, I was in a relationship with someone. He got really smart with me, and instead of me responding, lashing out, I got my computer and I sat down and I started to write my first book, Transition to a Healthier You. Yeah, I got that book because he said some crazy things, and I could have said a lot of crazier things, right? I could have matched that energy, talking about yesterday, but I didn't. I stopped, and I used that energy and I put it into something purposeful, which was a book, right? I didn't know that it was going to lead to me actually self-publishing this book, but that was the result of it. I put that energy somewhere else. So everything that I was feeling came out, right? Not in the words. Like, I didn't say like, yeah, because, he said this and no. I focused on the topic. The topic was transition to a healthier you, and I got started from there. That's how that happens, right? So we have to get to that space You know what you did before. You know how you handled it. But the new is, how are you going to handle it moving forward? That's what your action plan is going to be. That's what you have to start focusing on, because you've done all of that. And that could be 1 day of healing to 5 years of healing. But when you get to that point where you realize, I don't have to keep responding this way, let me come over here and let me do it something different. And like I said, I dived into creativity, putting out my books, creating a journal. Right. Sometimes I just simply take a nap, or I'll go and sit outside and sit in the sun. Something that is going to be a new action that wasn't what it was before. And when I'm finished with that, when I'm finished doing that activity, if I still feel that way, then I have to now continue to process that. But every time that I've done that, when I finished it, I didn't feel that way anymore. Now I can go, we can now sit and have a civil conversation if there needs to be a conversation, because sometimes it doesn't need to be a conversation. Sometimes it just simply is, this is what it is, and nothing's going to change, because if you, especially if you know who you're dealing with, right? So that's something that I want us to think about. Start figuring out, when I have these big feelings, how do I channel them and take them to somewhere else, right? How do I handle this? And so you have to start having an action plan for yourself. And every time that you're dealing with those feelings and it does come up, and you're like, look, I don't want to deal with this the same way I used to. And now you're able to now start to move forward. It's not easy. I'm gonna tell y'all, it's not easy. In the beginnings, it's not easy. But it's so purposeful, and it has a lot of meaning to it, because it adds more value to you and it adds life to you, right? I don't want to be that draining person. I don't want to carry the heaviness. I don't want to do any of that. That's no longer what I'm desiring. So my new is going to look uncomfortable. My new is going to look like new actions, new habits, new boundaries, new ways of talking to myself, like so self-talk. Is going to look different. And you have to now start to do that, right? Even if it means you have to find new people to connect with so that you can talk these feelings out. Because a lot of times we can go to the old people and all they're going to do is entice and ignite the old way that you handle things. And that's not going to be purposeful and have any meaning for any of us in the future. So I want you to really think about practical ways to live in the new. And I'm gonna end here. So I want you to create your new ritual. If you are working on something in your life, what does that new morning ritual look like for you? I want you to focus on that, making healthier choices. Again, not just eating, the mindset, the things that you're listening to, the things that you're reading. I gave you a great book. Paula backed it up. One of her sister friends, this is her favorite book, The Let Them Theory. Get that book. Start to have new resources that's going to help you. Joyful activities. You enjoy going to the movies, then go to the movies. Go by yourself. It doesn't have to be with everyone else. There's so many different ways and aspects that we can take this, and I want you to explore all of that, because it's definitely going to be an amazing reward. Being on this side of everything, being in the great space of a healthy relationship with someone that allows me to just continue to heal and continue to process and to continue to apply these new practices that I have never utilized before, it's an amazing feeling. It feels great. I don't know what the end goal of this is going to be, but guess what? In the present moment, I'm excited for how I feel. I'm excited for what we're experiencing. That's the beautiful part. And that's what I want everyone to start to experience. So I want you to start the healing. And if you are in the healing process, let's start thinking about, how does the new look like, and how does it look like for you? That's it. So as always, I want you to connect with me. You can go to my link tree. You can learn about my books. You can learn about my courses, my coaching program, and the whole 9 yards. I will have a special birthday for package coming up. I will be opening up my doors again for one-on-one coaching. So you please look out for that if that is something that you are interested in. But at the end of the day, I'm just excited, and I want to welcome you to continue to be a part of this self-reflection as I navigate closing out year 40, because next week, Monday, is my birthday. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. We're back here 7 a.m.-ish. Central Time, and I will see you all tomorrow. Share this video, like and subscribe if you are absolutely new, and I thank you for being here with me. Have a great one.